Hi everyone, this is Abel. Welcome back to my channel. Yeah, this is a really important moment for me because I've been doing this for 1 year. I'm celebrating 1 year on YouTube. Can you believe it? I certainly cannot. But I decided to celebrate this in the best possible way for me, in my opinion, which is focusing on books. This will be one of the very few book haul I do in my channel. I should do them often because I end up piling tons and tons of books to discuss with you. Yeah, I'm sorry, this will be long. But at the end of the video I will thank a few people that have been really close to me during this journey. And of course, I want to thank you all, each and every one of you who decided to be part of this really small, really cozy, safe and fun community, because you're the reason I'm doing this. I am the reason I'm doing this because I want to share my love for books, for science fiction and fantasy, but the community aspect of this is what pushed me to finally take courage and try and do this thing. And I cannot believe that I lasted 12 months and I want to do it for longer. I hope I will be able to keep this channel on for the foreseeable future. And yeah, I hope it will be fun, and thank you again. And yeah, let's talk about books. I'm afraid I didn't think this through very deeply, really deeply, so I should have put the books in a order, in a coherent timeline. The books that I have acquired, the books that have been gifted to me, because I have a wish list on the description box down below, and many people decided to gift me books. Authors decided to send me their books to read and review, and other books I simply decided to buy for myself. And yeah, but this will be completely random, okay? A few of the books I will mention before are the last that I've acquired. Others are the very first that I acquired during the last year. Books that haven't been mentioned during the last book haul because I received a few books while I was filming my last book haul many months ago. So yes, this will be random, but all the books that are here really makes me excited to read. Let's start with a series that is already affecting me right now as I read it, but I'm pretty sure it will change and rewire my brain as I read it, because it is that good and that amazing. I still haven't finished the first book, which is The Curse of the Mistwraith by Janny Wurts. I'll try to put it in a way that the cover is pretty visible. Yeah, the lighting is hard in this setting because I have a ring light right there because the room is so dark. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, this is the first book in an 11-book series by Janny Wurts. And it's a huge chunker. You see, I think this clocks around 840 pages or more. And this is of course high fantasy, epic fantasy books. The first book, this one, I think it was published around 20 or 25 years ago. So it's a very long lasting series, and the last one has been published in June of this year. And I'm slowly collecting the entire series. And it can be a little bit confusing because of the way they are, and the name of the series is explained. You'll see why, because this is named The Worst of Life in Shadows Volume 1 here, but at a certain point they decided to change this, and this one is the Alliance of Light Volume 2, but it is actually, when you open it, Volume 5 in the overall series. What's the problem? The problem is that I think it's a feature of the series, but the publisher decided to make us our life difficult because of this. The series has arcs inside. So the first book is a narrative arc. Then there are other 2 books that are another arc. Then there are other 5 books that are another arc, and so on and so on. So a few book covers of this one has they have been called thinking about the number of the book inside the series. So 1 of 10, 2 of 10, and so on and so on. A few of these books have been called number 1 or 2 inside the arc. And if you want to know which book is in the whole arc, overall arc of the story, you have to open the book and see its position in the 11 book series. So on the cover it says number 2 of that arc, but inside it says number 5 of the overall series. Yes, it is confusing, but I know that I will have 11 books at the end of the series, so I'm slowly collecting 11 books. So this one, the one that I showed before is Grand Conspiracy. This one is Stormed Fortress, and yeah, they're all beautiful. And Janny Wurts painted the illustrations for this. These are different from the original American edition that had characters on the covers, but they decided for this one. I think that this publisher is a UK one, and you can buy those all around the world because the price is in pounds. But and then I have Initiate's Trial. Yeah, I'm butchering the title of the book. You see, all the illustrations are really good and really amazing. The colors are so vibrant, and the art style, it's both modern and vintage, if I may say. They all look beautiful. The edition is consistent in the format and in the art style, not so much in the quality of the books. A few of them have really stiff pages and really teeny tiny fonts, and a few of them have really high quality pages that are really floppy and are really good with even tinier fonts. But all in all, they look extremely good on the shelf. I have a specific shelf on my library with all of this series. I have 5 books in total here. I am almost halfway through book 1, and then I already can tell this is incredible, an incredible series on the language and the plotting and the characters. This is what I'm searching for when I think about high fantasy, epic fantasy, and huge epic fantasy stories. I cannot wait to give you an extensive review. It will take a while because I'm a slow reader, and because this is challenging for me because of the language, because it is complex, it is deep, it's a very deep story with a huge scope. I can already tell that this is going to be incredibly complex and long and satisfying at the end. So yeah, this was the first batch of books. Then let's talk about indie books. I have to show you presents by author Zach Diamanti, which is the Stone and Sky series. The first one I already showed you a couple of months ago with the short story collections, which is kind of a prequel, kind of a companion to the main story. The second book I'm showing you right now, it's Stone and Tide here, and the third one is Stone and Ruin by Z.S. Diamanti. This is an high fantasy, epic fantasy story that it's really reminiscent of the golden age of sword and sorcery and high fantasy books from the 80s and early 90s. Yeah, it is colorful, it is powerful, it is very well written. The first book and the collection of short stories, they will end up being one of my favorite reads of 2024 because they are that fun and that well developed. Now the series is complete. I cannot wait to dive deep and read the rest of the series. And if you want something that it's pure, distillated, high fantasy, epic fantasy that reminds you classic Dungeons and Dragons campaign with a really personal twist and a modern writing style, this one is perfect for you. We have a little Brandon Sanderson, because we cannot talk about fantasy books and epic fantasy without mentioning Brandon Sanderson, which is probably the most popular epic fantasy, modern epic fantasy writer, and it will be even more popular in the near future, I'm sure. Especially because we are getting the last book in the first arc of the Stormlight Archives pretty soon. Yeah, which is on top of everyone wishlisted books for this year. I have Tress of the Emerald Seed here, which is the Italian edition, and I think the cover is the same as the US one. This is a part of the secret project, kickstarted project for by Brandon Sanderson. I wasn't part of that because acquiring that kind of book from outside the US can be extremely pricey, really crazy pricey. So I waited for them to slowly trickle to the Italian market. I wanted to buy the US one, but since Brexit and since the Pendy that we had, the prices of the paper, you know, it affected the pricing of books in the US, which became much more costly and pricey for you living in the US. But for the rest of the world, it's even worse, because since most of the book they were stored in the UK for distribution in Europe, and now the England, it's not part of the commercial deal with the European community. If I want to buy a US hardcover for this one, it will cost me around $40, which is absurd. This one in Italy is around 20 euros, so it should be around $19–20. So yeah, it's much more reasonable. I'm not a huge fan of this cover, I'm sorry. Yeah, the original one from the Secret Project was better, but it looks good nonetheless. This is supposed to be a lighter book compared to all the others from Brandon Sanderson. It is shorter, short and sweet. Should be some kind of a cozy fantasy, a little bit whimsical, a little bit of a fairy tale. I know very little about this because I usually try and go, if possible, which is challenging, and read Brandon Sanderson's books knowing as little as possible about the plot. So I'll tell you what I think about it pretty soon in a review, hopefully. Yeah. A few days ago I acquired a copy of Ship of Magic by Rob and Hobb. This is the UK edition. It's a huge chunker. If you know Robin Hobb, you know that she has this huge series. It's a 13 or 14 series that with a shared setting, and they're split in different trilogies. There is always there's a quartet too. This is the first book in the second trilogy. The first one is the one that centers around Fitz chivalry, and it's focused on the Farseer family, and it's all around the development of that main character, of Fitz, which is one of my favorite characters of all time. It is that series, the one that shined a light on Robin Hobb and changed my life forever. And this one is the first book after that trilogy, and I'm pretty sure that the cast of that trilogy is not part of this, but I will be happy if I'm wrong because that cast is amazing and this edition is really good. I know that now this design has been acquired by the US publisher too, because this one is the UK design, and now you have trade paperbacks in the US with this design too. And I think it's amazing, it's beautiful. And this is about sentient ships, and it is different because it has a different structure. This is a third-person perspective with many points of views, which is completely different from what we had in the Farseer trilogy, which is all told by Fitz's perspective. It is in a way told like memories, because Fitz is old and it's recounting what happened when he was really young, starting from I think 5 years old, and when the series ends, Fitz is around 20 years old, or maybe a little bit more. I don't remember exactly, but that was incredibly emotional and really character driven and atmospheric and beautiful. And yeah, I loved it. All of 3 books. I think that the second one was my favorite. This one is a little bit controversial as far as I can tell, because um, the first books in their series written by Robin Hobb tend to be the weakest one, and the series becomes stronger and stronger as it goes on. Usually the second book, as far as I can tell, is the best of all in each trilogy, and this one is they say it's really painful and it's really hard. There is a lot of, and it's really sad, there is a lot of suffering for those poor characters. This is the worst job ever, to be a character in Robin Hobb's books. But I'm really curious because it looks like the world building is really complex and the characters are really complex too. So yeah, can't wait to start reading this and give you a deep dive review. And then this is a blast from the past for me. This is a story that I read when I was a teenager that completely blew my mind and that I haven't been able to track down in the original format from the US. This is The War Against the Chtorr by David Gerrold. And incredibly, I was able to find a bind-up of all the 4 books. I think, how many books do we have in this one? Yeah, 4 books in this cycle that I'm afraid it is not completed and probably will never be completed because Mr. Gerrold is not going younger and younger. The last book was published many years ago and there are absolutely no news about the rest of the series. Yes, I knew about absolutely nothing of this series when I started, and being a young and naive, a sweet summer child, I read the 4th book in the series without knowing anything about what was happening before, what about the world building and characters, and my mind exploded because this is an invasion story. And by the time I started to read the book, by the time the story hits the ground running, what I read, Earth was colonized and completely changed by those invaders. So I don't know anything about how it happened. I don't supposedly it's been told in the previous 3 books of this series. I just remember that the main characters was so grumpy and so smart and so flawed and so amazing that I felt immediately in love with him because it was so incredibly different from everything that I had read till that time. And yes, I'm really happy I found this because incredibly, in Italy, we have all of 4 books in this huge tome with really thin pages and incredibly teeny tiny font. But yeah, when I saw this, I didn't know this edition existed. And there were singular books, original individual books for all 4 books in the series. But they're vintage books, they're collector's edition, they're not exactly cheap. This was really cheap and was actually gifted to me because someone that knows me really, really well knew I was searching for this one. This is a really prized gift for me and something that I will show off on my library for the rest of my life. And I can't wait to read the series. I'm a little bit scared because I see of those memories with rose-tinted glass because I was really young when I read it and it was really flabbergasted. I was absolutely shocked at how incredibly complex the story was. And you know, I'm not exactly going younger and I became much critical about the things that I read because I'm a reviewer now and I'm a judge. I've been part of the SPFBO competition for this year, so the way I approach book is different. But yeah, I can't wait to read it and let you know what I think about it. So the series in English is The War Against the Chtorr, and 4 books. And as far as I remember, the 4th one kind of had a resolution and can be considered the end of the series because of what happens. What I remember that happens, but we should have 2 more books. and Mr. Gerrold is not keen to let us know anything about those Booktube books, so maybe in the future, who knows. Another bind-up is for the Liavathan trilogy by Scott Westerfield, and this is a really unique edition because it has illustrations inside. They look beautiful. Oh, by the way, if you want to see live unboxing of the book that I acquire, follow me on Instagram, because every time I receive a package, I cannot wait and I open them right away. If you want to be part of that little bit of an experience, just follow me on Instagram. This is a beautiful bind-up. I don't know if you have this kind of bind-up in the US of all of the 3 books in one edition, and this one was a lucky found, because I wasn't able to buy the original editions for the same problem I mentioned before. Look at how gorgeous the illustrations are. And I try to read books in the original language every time I can, because most of the time translations are not exactly satisfactory for me, and it happens that publishers, they put out the first book, they don't market it that well, they don't sell well enough, and they end up not translating the rest of the series. But I was lucky enough to find this that has all the series in one volume. This is a young adult trilogy that is alternate history. I think that it has a different retelling interpretation of a Great War, of the first Great War, and we followed those 2 characters, and the world is really different from the one we live in, but the aesthetics are amazing because it looks a little bit like steampunk. So yeah, I can't wait to read it. Absolutely, I will give you a review really soon. And then I have a collection of all 3 books from the Red Sister trilogy by Mark Lawrence. This is called simply Nona Grey in Italy. This is a beautiful edition with a beautiful illustration inside and a very nice hardback edition, you see. And of course they tried to compress all of those books in this limited amount of pages, so the writing is extremely small, but it looks very good in my library. I tried to read this book many years ago when I had just the paperback edition of the first book, and it sounded really interesting. And given the fact that I read the first book in the library trilogy, the last one by Mark Lawrence, and I found the writing style so amazing, I decided to go back and try. I'm not sure if I will be able to start from the beginning with all the books by Mark Lawrence, because especially the Prince of Thorn is the first one, is extremely dark and extremely bleak. I don't know if I'm the right reader for that kind of story, but yeah, this one I will absolutely give it a try, and I'm really proud of this edition because it looks beautiful. Now, a bunch of books that were sent to me by authors. The first one is Darktown by Palmer Pickering. This is a classic fantasy book, but it is also a lit RPG. So if you haven't read anything about lit RPG, they mix the dynamics of fantasy books and video games. This was a blast. So funny, so well written. The artwork is amazing and the story is so easy to read with very good characters, and it has an amazing production quality values. Look at here. It is filled to the brim with amazing illustrations that are carefully positioned after the fact, so they don't spoil you the story, but for sure they enhance the experience of reading such an interesting book. This one, my first lit RPG I have ever read, and I'm happy that I started with this because there is a range of complexity in lit RPG books, and this is really approachable. It's really light on the game mechanics. It can be read as an classic epic fantasy book if you know nothing about the lit RPG side, but if you're a connoisseur of the lit RPG dynamics, this will be pretty satisfactory too, as far as I can tell, because other readers that are much more well versed than me in that subgenre, they say that this is a pretty good lit RPG book. So yeah, let's give it a try. You give it a try. I already read it and review it, but and it was a really good experience. And I'll show you another book by Palmer Pickering, and it is called Heliotrope, and it has one of the most amazing illustration that I've seen during the last couple of months. Take a look at it. It is so detailed and so vibrant and so action-packed. This is a really a slow burn, character-driven epic fantasy story about a retired warrior, I think, that it's forced to be again part of the ongoing conflict, and he has to solve an investigation, and it ends up being part of the fighting again. And I like it as a trope when you have the unwilling protagonist that he will be so much more happier living a quiet life, but he ends up being part of the overall struggle of the story. I love that kind of stories, like the Legend of Tal series by Josiah Rosell. And this is a standalone, but I have heard that we could have a continuation of this. So I'm happy that it is a standalone and that I can have a satisfying conclusion to this story at the end of this one. But I am also happy that we can potentially have more, because I have no doubt, after I read Dark Town, that this will be amazing. And Palmer Pickering has that specific kind of sensibility that I love to read in epic fantasy books. So yeah, I haven't read this one, but I'm already enthusiastic of the fact that we can potentially have more of this one. Okay, yeah, sue me. Then I have Night Owls and Symphony by Stephen Gay. These are science fiction, cyberpunk, a little bit of space opera. I know that the first one is set on the moon, and that it has a young protagonist that it becomes part of a ongoing struggle, and it becomes a rebel against the regime of this setting. These were sent to me by the author. They're really good looking, and I think that the series is at its 4th or 5th installation. So I'm pretty sure that if I end loving those two, I will end up buying the rest of the series, and they look really good. I like the colors, I like the art style, I like the formatting inside. These are really handsome book, and thank you, Stephen Gay, for sending me those books. Let's move on. Then I have Pathlighter by Rob Leigh. This is a high fantasy, action-packed, epic fantasy book with a small cast of characters that have the ability to control the weather, fire, and the elements, with a really rich and complex world building with a lot of action. It was really fun. And yeah, absolutely suggested to give it a try, because this is a light read in a way, but it is also a complex read. It has different levels that you can approach it with different mindsets. I enjoyed it very much. I would have loved a little bit more of character development if we have good character development, but this is an action and adventure story, so there's a lot of action. If you enjoy that, this will be amazing for you too, absolutely. A few days ago, I finally received The Art of Destiny by Wesley Chu. This is the UK edition. The US one is a little bit different because it has a different color palette. I think this one is golden in the US edition, this circle here. But this looks amazing. This is one of the best character design that I have seen during the last couple of years. I think the artist is the same that the third secret project by Brandon Sanderson, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I think. Painter, it's the name of that series. Yeah, this is a ancient Japan inspired story with a lot of martial arts and fighting, and then it has a nice twist on the chosen one hero prophecy trope that we have in epic fantasy stories. I mean, the first book was a really fun one, which I think I didn't actually reviewed it in this channel. I have to do it, absolutely. Yeah, what a shame. I liked it very much, and I'm pretty sure that the second one will be even better because the reviews are really strong for this one. And yeah, can't wait to get the third one too, even if I still haven't read this one. But look at it, it looks amazing. It's so beautiful. Yeah, incredible. And then I started collecting my first romance series. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I cannot believe it. And it is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I'm showing you the Italian edition because it is perfectly identical to the US one. And of course the title is translated, but we have a reversible jacket inside with the US title. Yeah, I told you I didn't think this true because I should have turned the dust jacket to show you the perfect cover, absolutely identical to the US one. Yeah, this is the last one, and I decided to start this one because it is, yeah, it's an historical romance story, but it is also, it has fantasy elements. And everybody says that the writing style is amazing, that it is really painful, really long, really emotional, but really complex too. I think there should be around 10 or 11 books. The Italian publisher acquired the book rights for this series beginning from the last one, and then they are collecting starting from the first book and slowly publishing hardcovers for the rest of the series. So for a couple of months we had just the last one in hardcover, and then we slowly began collecting the rest. This is the second book, and this is the first one that it kept the original title, Outlander, and in Italian it is translated The Stranger. I'm pretty sure you know what this series is about. This is about a woman that touches a sacred stone, and somehow she ends up traveling in the past and finding love and trying to survive in a really different setting, in a really different context. It has that typical fish out of water trope that we all love, with a lot of romance, of course. And I know that the TV show is really good too. My mother and my sister love that TV show, and I tried to stay away from it because I don't want the TV show to spoil the experience of the book. And even if the TV show is really good, I know that the books are better. Of course, there's no doubt about that. And yeah, this is really long, really complex, and they say that you really fall in love with the characters. So yeah, I can't wait to read it and tell you more about this. Yeah, these are all the books that I wanted to talk to you. I have nothing else for you for the book haul, but I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the last 12 months, the last year, which is my first year on Booktube. And the first thing I wanted to say is that I'm incredibly humbled by the numbers, which are small compared to many other channels and to other channels that I follow and love that started the journey around the same time. But I'm really happy and I'm really grateful for the small community that we created, because I know that I don't have much time to invest on this channel, and I know that you're kind and gracious and generous enough to wait for me to upload a new video in every 10 days, 2 weeks, or even more. And I know that this is not common, especially on Booktube, where you're supposed to try and upload every week, many videos every week, ideally 2 or 3 videos every week. I know other booktubers that are able to upload almost every day, but I cannot do that. I would love to be able to do that, but my situation right now doesn't allow that. So the fact that we have now almost 450 people subscribing here that willingly themselves decide to watch my video is incredible for me. And the fact that we have 11,500 views as a whole on the channel, and around 1,500 hours of views is, yeah, it's really mind-boggling for me, because yeah, I didn't thought that so much people would have been interested to listen to my opinion on booktubes, on books, and of course because of the language barrier. If you compare this video with the first one that I uploaded in September, I think it was the Space Opera September one, my English is better now. I'm a little bit more confident in my ability to shoot the video and to edit it. But my English is not that good, and I know sometimes I have to heavily edit the videos to try to stitch together coherent sentences and to make the video understandable, because I really don't have the time to shoot it again. I would love to be able to put even much more effort and care in the production of those videos. And I can tell you, I swear, this is the best I can do. This is absolutely the best I can do, and it is incredibly difficult and it is hard. But I love to do it because I have met so many good people, and some of them I consider them friends because of this experience on Booktube. And let me mention just a few of those people, and if I don't mention someone that I'm supposed to mention, please forgive me. I'm really trying, I'm really struggling to not to get emotional at the end of this video, but I am an extremely emotional man. I'm an extremely emotional person, and when I have to face the reality of things, of good and bad things, I often freeze, and I end up crying, I end up becoming extremely emotional, and words fail me. So I'll mention a few people, and if I don't mention you and you're expecting me to mention you, please forgive me, and please be mad at me, and please let me know. Let's discuss it directly, and I apologize in advance, okay? The first one that I want to thank is Dr. Philip Chase, Professor Philip Chase. He's not only an amazing writer, but an incredible booktuber too. And it's been years since I first saw one of his first uploads on Booktube, and it's been amazing to see how his channel evolved and became the amazing beacon of light on the Booktube community, especially for epic fantasy readers. Because I don't know if you remember, but until 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, there were a lot of Booktube channels, but there were not a lot of adult readers focused Booktube channels. And Mike's book reviews and Dr. Philip Chase's channels and a couple of others were first to speak directly to people that had more than 20 years, more than 20 years old. And it was really refreshing for me because I loved Booktube until then, but sometimes it was difficult to connect to the kind of books that those people were reading. Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for the job they do, but I'm also incredibly grateful to Professor Philip Chase because he allowed me to be part of the judging team for the Spiff Box for SPFBO 10 this year, and he graciously invited me to be part of the live stream for the celebration of the 25,000 subscribers on his channel. And you can see that stream. I was in a corner with my webcam focusing on me, and I was like that with heart-shaped eyes because I was able to speak directly with Philip Chase, Murphy Napier, and Joanna, and to Mike from Mike Book Reviews. And I was really a fanboy, and it was really embarrassing because it was really awkward, but I couldn't stop being a fanboy in that moment, and my channel got a lot of followers after that stream. So it was an extremely kind gesture from Philip. And Philip, thank you, because the experience of being part of that stream, being connected with you, and being part of the judging team really changed this channel for the better, and changed my experience with booktube in generally for the better. Okay, so my deepest gratitude to you, and thank you to all the viewers that decided to become subscribers after seeing that stream. I'm so grateful. I have no words. And then I want to thank directly MJ from Reading This Life. She's such a vibrant and charismatic woman. Her booktube channel is so fun. And I remember that she's so generous. She has like a full series on her channel when she scours the interweb searching for small and new booktube channels, and she shout out those channels, and she gives suggestions to all of those people that are jump starting their booktube channel to try and help them produce better content. And I was shocked when she found my channel. There was around maybe 30 subscribers when she decided to take a pic and take a like and maybe even subscribe. And she decided to talk about my channel on her. And another person that I will mention, she became a subscriber because of that video. And I'm pretty sure that most of the early adopters from this channel, they came from that video. So yeah, I have no words to say how grateful I am. Not only because she decided to give me a little bit of space in her videos, but because of the effect that had on my booktube experience. So yeah, go give it a try. Go subscribe to her channel. Her suggestions are amazing. She's really fun. She has a broad scope of books on her channel, and she gives recommendations. She's really helpful, she's really generous, and it is a joy to listen to her voice, because most of the time I cannot watch directly to many of the videos that I follow on YouTube. I just listen to them while I'm doing other things, and it is really fun and really well done. And the fact that she keeps doing that regularly, searching for new people and giving a helping hand, giving suggestion, and try to involve other people in following brand new channels, it's so incredibly generous and so useful and so unique that it needs to be praised. It has an amazing effect on the community. It's a positive force on the community. And I commend MJ for the job she does. And I urge you to go and subscribe to her channel. Of course, absolutely. Just do it. And I wanted to thank Farah from Bookstalgic, which is one of the early adopters of this channel. She came from from that video from MJ. And she has this amazing booktube channel that is so relaxing, and it is so different from everything that I have ever seen before and followed before, because she follows on a variety of genres that are not exactly what I read every day, but every time she reviews a book or she does a challenge, I end up stacking my TBRs with books that are so completely different from what I usually read, because she is able to give you really complex and deep reviews that are also that also let you understand her line of thoughts in a really clear way. She also has this really calming and really soothing atmosphere. I think it is because of her voice and because of her eyes. And there's almost a dream-like atmosphere in her videos, and you have to see it to understand it, to believe it. And when you watch to her videos, you end up at the end of the video feeling a little bit better, even if it was a really rough day, because she has this uncanny ability to calm you down. And she's been an amazing supporter of the channel too, because when she comments on my videos, I can really tell that she's been watching the whole video. And then she has specific opinions of many of the books that I've been talking about. So thank you. Thank you, Farah. Thank you for being part of this small community, and keep doing your amazing job with your Booktube channel. And lastly, thank you to everyone who has written a comment, who reached out, who tried to be an active part of the community. You don't have to do it. I know that sometimes you feel like you have nothing interesting to say in those comments, and I understand it. You don't need to write comments, but for each and every one of you who decided to express their opinion, to tell me what they think, even give me suggestions to how to make my videos better, thank you for being active part of this community, and just for watching, just for simply watching. I know that it depends on the kind of people you are. If you're a certified yapper when it comes about books, I know that you will want to say your opinion and writing down. Like, for example, Esme Rosalie. She's amazing. She's one of the best reviewers out there, and it is amazing to see her deciding to be part of this community. I urge you to follow her on Instagram, X, whatever you want, and then see her comments on my on the box down below, on the comment section. It's amazing every time, and she has really compelling, really interesting, and really deep reviews on Goodreads too. So you should go and follow them, and on the various blogs that she writes reviews for. So thank you to everyone who decided to be a part of this community. Thank you to everyone who decided to comment. Thank you to everyone who decided to spend their hardly earned money buying books for me from my wish list. I know how difficult that is, and I know how expensive of an hobby this can be, of a passion this can be. And yeah, when I started this Booktube channel, it was because I had a really hard time finding someone to discuss my passion with in Italy, because I have spent most of my adult life reading books in English, which is not my mother language. You know, you can tell. And even if I had a pretty popular Instagram account, most of the time, when I decided to speak about the books I was most passionate about in English, really few people were able to connect with those, of course, because they were reading in Italian. So when I decided to start this channel in English, it was daunting, it was scary, but it was extremely, extremely curious and enthusiastic about it. But I couldn't imagine, even in a million times, to have this kind of result with this sparse amount of videos that I can upload. And I have to thank Bo Kelly from the SFF Insider blog that decided to call me when he decided to start this adventure with the blog, and amassing an incredibly high amount of really good reviewers and author creating content for that platform that you should absolutely follow on X, on Instagram, and read the reviews on sffinsiders.com, because Bo Kelly is an incredibly positive, strong and positive force for the Booktube community, especially for indie authors, but in general for everyone who's interested in science fiction and fantasy. And being part of that small group of creators and connected with readers that decided not only to watch my reviews on Booktube, but also to read my reviews on that blog and on Goodreads, it's been an amazing experience. It made my life better because it gave me an outlet to finally discuss those books with much more people. And yeah, I'm grateful, I'm happy, and I know that this will help eventually in the future when I will be able to release my novels in English, because you may know or not, that I am a bestseller in Italy. I have written 9 science fiction and fantasy books in Italian. My career with the Italian market is coming to an end pretty soon. I'm publishing my last book during hopefully in the end of 2024 or maybe the beginning of 2025. Then I'll focus on the international market, on the US market, and generally everywhere books in English are beloved and read, especially epic fantasy and science fiction books, of course. And I hope that it will help people understand the kind of person I am, what I like and what I write, and what you are supposed to find in my books. But don't sweat on it. It will take a lot of time to achieve that. I was pretty sure I would have been able to publish my first book in English in 2024, but it's not going to happen. It will take me much more time than I anticipated, but I'm not sad about it. I'm happy that my knowledge and my background is becoming stronger, so then when I decided to plant a feet in the US market, in the international market, it will be done properly. And I thank you for being part of this community and for enjoying the ride with me. So yeah, as you say, the classic ending string of words that I usually say, which is, if you enjoy science fiction and fantasy books, this is the perfect place for you. So if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, leave a like, share this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Bye.